The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, each drop a tiny explosion against the glass. Maya Chen stood in her walk-in closet, surrounded by rows of designer dresses that cost more than most people's rent, and felt absolutely hollow. In her trembling hand, she held her phone. The screen glowed with a text from her boyfriend of 18 months. "Can't wait to see you tonight, beautiful. We're something stunning?" Psst. Something stunning. Always something expensive. Always something that screamed wealth. Maya was 28 years old and worth $300 million. Money she'd inherited when her father's tech empire had been sold 5 years ago. She'd tried to build her own identity, starting a nonprofit for underprivileged youth, but everywhere she went, people only saw dollar signs, especially Ethan Cross. He was perfect on paper. Charming, handsome, successful in his own right as a corporate lawyer. They'd met at a gallery opening, and he'd swept her off her feet with poetry and promises. But lately the cracks had started to show last week. She'd suggested they skip their usual $1,000 plate restaurant and get street tacos. Ethan had laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Why would we do that when we can afford the best?" 2 days ago, she'd overheard him on the phone with his brother. The words still burned in her memory. The Chen girl. "Man, do you know what her trust fund looks like? I'm set for life if I play this right." Maya had frozen in the hallway outside his office, her heart turning to ice in her chest, now standing in her closet. She made a decision that would change everything. She would disappear, become someone else. Someone ordinary, broke, invisible. And she would watch Ethan from the shadows to see who he really was when he thought. She was gone. Her hands moved with mechanical precision. She pulled out her oldest jeans, a plain black sweater, scuffed sneakers she'd worn exactly once to a casual charity event. She grabbed a duffel bag and stuffed in only the essentials. Leaving behind everything that screamed money, her phone buzzed again. "Ethan, you there?" Getting worried. "Love you." Love. That word that used to make her heart soar now felt like a knife between her ribs. Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed out a message that would set everything in motion. "I need some time. Don't contact me. I'll reach out when I'm ready." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. Within seconds, her phone exploded with calls. She watched Ethan's name flash across the screen once, twice, 7 times. Then she powered it off completely. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya walked to her safe, hidden behind a painting her father had bought her for her 21st birthday. Inside was cash, documents, and a small velvet box containing her mother's wedding ring. The only thing she owned that truly mattered. She took only the cash and the ring. Everything else could wait. 40 minutes later, Maya Chen walked out of her penthouse building through the service entrance. Wearing clothes that cost less than her usual morning coffee, the doorman didn't even look at her. To him, she was just another delivery person or housekeeper, invisible. The rain soaked through her, cheap. Sneakers as she walked toward the subway station. She'd taken exactly $20,000 in cash, enough to disappear for a few months. Her credit card stayed behind. Her driver's license stayed behind. Everything that could trace back to Maya Chen stayed behind. She had a plan, crude but effective. Ethan spent his Tuesday and Thursday evenings at an exclusive members-only club downtown. She knew the place well, had been there dozens of times on his arm. But the club also had a small cafe on the ground floor, open to the public. Where the staff took their breaks, they were hiring baristas. She'd seen the sign last week. Maya would become invisible. Serve coffee to the wealthy elite she used to be part of, and watch. Watch how Ethan behaved when he thought she was gone. Watch who he became without her money in the picture. The subway rattled beneath her feet, and Maya caught her reflection in the dark window. Wet hair, no makeup, cheap clothes. She looked like a stranger. Maybe she was. Her phone, the burner she'd bought an hour ago, buzzed with a new email. She'd set up alerts for mentions of her name in the media. The first article was already circulating. Billionaire heiress Maya Chen missing, boyfriend reports. Her vanished without explanation. So he'd gone to the press. Interesting. Maya leaned her head against the cold subway window and watched the city blur past. Somewhere out there, Ethan was either genuinely worried or planning his next move. In 72 hours, she'd know which. The train screeched to a halt at her stop. Maya stood, shouldered her duffel bag, and stepped onto the platform. She had no idea that the man watching her from across the train car was the same man who would change everything. His name was Daniel Rivera, and he was the club's head of security. He'd been tasked with one job tonight: find Maya Chen. For the media circus got worse, and he'd just found her. The cafe smelled like burnt espresso and broken dreams. Maya wiped down the counter for the third time in 20 minutes, her hands raw from cheap soap and hot water. 3 days into her new life, and every muscle in her body ached in ways her yoga instructor had never prepared her for. "Table 6 needs a refill," barked Marcus, the shift manager, with coffee stains on his collar and permanent exhaustion in his eyes. "And smile. Tips keep the lights on." Maya grabbed the pot, pasted on a smile that felt like cracking plaster, and headed toward the corner booth. That's when she saw him. Daniel Rivera sat alone, reading a newspaper, a cup of black coffee cooling in front of him. He wore dark jeans and a leather jacket that had seen better days, his jaw shadowed with stubble. He didn't look like he belonged in a cafe attached to a members-only club. He looked dangerous, like a wolf pretending to be a dog. Maya's instinct screamed at her to turn around, but she was invisible now. "Just another broke 20-something serving coffee to survive?" "Refill," she asked, keeping her voice light, her eyes down. Daniel looked up, and Maya felt his gaze like a physical touch. His eyes were dark brown, almost black, and they saw too much. "Sure," he said. His voice was rough, like gravel underfoot. "You're new, it wasn't a question. Started Monday." Maya poured carefully, willing her hands not to shake. "Still learning where everything is? You'll get used to it." He folded his newspaper. "Or you'll quit." "Most people quit. I need the job. Everyone needs something." There was weight in those words, layers Maya couldn't decode. She finished pouring and turned to leave. "What's your name?" Maya's heart stuttered. She'd prepared for this. Riley, James, Daniel. He extended a hand. "I work security upstairs." She shook his hand briefly. His grip was firm, calloused, and sent an unexpected jolt through her system. "Nice to meet you." "You look familiar," Daniel said, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Have we met before?" Every nerve in Maya's body went on high alert. "I don't think so. I'd remember." He studied her for another long moment, then shrugged. "My mistake. You just have one of those faces." Maya escaped back behind the counter, her pulse hammering. Had he recognized her? Was he testing her? She risked a glance back. Daniel was watching her, his expression unreadable. Marcus appeared at her elbow. "That's Rivera, head of security for the club. Don't let him rattle you. He's actually decent, unlike most of the members." "Does he come here often?" "Every day. Takes his break down here, instead of with the other security guys." Marcus lowered his voice. "Word is, he's got history with one of the members. Some kind of bad blood. But he keeps his head down and does his job." Maya filed that information away. Then the door opened, and her entire world tilted. Ethan walked in. He looked haggard, she'd give him that. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his tie loosened, shadows under his eyes. He scanned the cafe like a man searching for something lost. For her, Maya turned away quickly, her hand knocking over a stack of cups. They clattered loudly, and she bent to pick them up, heart racing. "Hey, you okay?" Marcus crouched beside her. "Fine. Just clumsy." When she stood, Ethan was at the counter. This close, she could smell his cologne, the expensive kind she used to love. Now it made her nauseous. "Coffee. Black. Large," he said to Marcus, not even glancing at Maya. She existed in his peripheral vision, nothing more. Another faceless worker in his privileged world. Marcus poured the coffee while Maya pretended to organize napkins. Her hands shook so badly, she had to clench them into fists. Rough day. Marcus asked Ethan, making small talk. You have no idea? Ethan rubbed his face. My girlfriend disappeared 3 days ago. Just vanished. Sorry to hear that, man. The cops think she ran away, but that doesn't make sense. She has everything. Money, success, me. He laughed bitterly. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maya's throat tightened. There was genuine pain in his voice. Real anguish. Had she been wrong? Maybe she needed space, Marcus offered. Women are complicated. It's not Maya. She was different. She was real. Ethan took his coffee, his voice dropping. I just hope she's safe. I'd give anything to know she's okay. He walked to a table, and Maya felt something crack inside her chest. This wasn't the man she'd overheard on the phone. This was someone broken, someone hurting. Had she made a terrible mistake? Riley, you're up for break, Marcus said. 15 minutes. Maya nodded numbly and headed toward the back room. But before she could reach it, a hand caught her elbow gently. Daniel. Outside. Now his voice was low, urgent. What? I can't. I'm working 5 minutes. It's important. Something in his tone made her follow. They stepped into the alley behind the cafe. The afternoon sun cutting sharp shadows across the pavement. Daniel turned to face her. And his expression was no longer unreadable. It was fierce, protective, and terrifying. I know who you are, Maya Chen. The world stopped spinning. I don't know what you're talking about. Drop the act. Daniel stepped closer. I've been looking for you for 3 days. Your boyfriend hired the club's security team to find you discreetly. Paid top dollar. I'm supposed to report back the second I locate you. Maya's mind raced, calculating escape routes, lies, anything. Then why haven't you? Daniel's jaw clenched. Because I saw something tonight that you need to see. Your boyfriend? He's not who you think he is. What are you talking about? Come upstairs tonight. After your shift, I'll show you something on the security footage that will change everything you think you know about Ethan Cross. Blah la 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 la. He pulled out a key card. Use this. Employee entrance. 10 o'clock. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. Daniel's eyes held a darkness that spoke of old wounds, old betrayals. Let's just say I know what it's like to trust the wrong person. And I've seen enough to know your boyfriend is playing a game you don't even know you're in. What game? That's what you'll find out tonight. If you're brave enough to look, he pressed the keycard into her palm and walked away, leaving Maya standing in the alley with her heart in her throat and a choice that could destroy everything. 10 o'clock. Security footage. The truth. Maya looked down at the keycard in her hand, feeling the weight of it like a loaded gun. Inside the cafe, Ethan sat alone, staring at his phone with an expression of devastation, and Maya Chen realized that the truth she'd been searching for might be far more complicated than she'd ever imagined. The security office was buried in the basement of the club, accessible only through a maze of service corridors that smelled like industrial cleaner and secrets. Maya's footsteps echoed off concrete walls as she followed Daniel's directions, the keycard burning in her pocket. 10 o'clock. She was either walking toward the truth or into a trap. The door was unmarked, steel, intimidating. Maya swiped the keycard. The lock clicked. She pushed inside. The room was dark except for the glow of multiple monitors displaying various angles of the club. Daniel sat at the main console, his face illuminated by the screens, making him look like something carved from shadows. You came, he said without turning around. You gave me a hell of a hook. Maya closed the door behind her, her pulse hammering. Now tell me what this is about. Daniel spun his chair to face her. In the monitor light, his expression was grim. Before I show you, I need to know something. Why did you run? What made Maya Chen, billionaire heiress, decide to disappear and serve coffee in a dead-end cafe? I don't owe you my story. No, but if I'm going to betray my employer and show you classified footage, I need to know I'm doing it for the right reasons. Maya studied him. There was something raw in his eyes, something that recognized the same wound in her. I overheard Ethan on the phone, talking about my trust fund like it was a prize he'd won. I needed to know if he loved me or just loved what I could give him. Daniel nodded slowly. And what have you learned so far? That I might have been wrong. That he seems genuinely broken by my disappearance. That maybe I'm the monster for testing him like this? You need to see this. Daniel turned back to the monitors and pulled up footage from 2 days ago. This is from the main lounge. Tuesday night. Your boyfriend comes here every week. The screen showed Ethan entering the club's lavish main room, all leather and dark wood and privilege. He walked to the bar, ordered a drink, looked every inch the grieving boyfriend. So he drinks. I knew that. Keep watching. After 10 minutes, a woman approached Ethan. She was stunning in a calculated way. Red dress, perfect makeup, the kind of beauty that came with a price tag. She leaned in close, whispered something in his ear. Ethan's devastated expression vanished. He smiled, not the polite smile he gave strangers. The smile he used to give Maya in private moments. Maya's stomach clenched. Who is she? Her name is Veronica Ashford, heiress to the Ashford pharmaceutical fortune, worth about $500 million. The woman sat beside Ethan, her hand resting on his thigh. They talked, laughed, moved closer. Then Ethan pulled out his phone and showed Veronica something. The woman's eyes widened, and she threw her head back laughing. Daniel zoomed in on Ethan's phone screen, enhanced the image. It was a photo of Maya, taken while she was sleeping, and beneath it, a caption that made Maya's blood freeze. Plan A didn't work out. Ready for Plan B? The room spun. Maya gripped the edge of the console to keep from falling. There's more, Daniel said quietly. He pulled up another file. Audio from the same night. I wasn't supposed to keep it, but something felt wrong, so I made a backup. He hit play. Ethan's voice, clear and cold. I gave it 18 months. Played the devoted boyfriend, memorized her favorite everything. Made her think I was different from all the other gold diggers circling her fortune. But she got suspicious, Veronica's voice amused. So what's your play? Report her missing. Make it look like she had a breakdown. She has a history of anxiety, depression after her father's death. Easy to spin. Once she's declared mentally incompetent, I've positioned myself as her medical proxy. With the right doctors and the right documentation, I control everything. And if she comes back, she won't. Not once I'm done destroying her reputation. But if she does, I've already laid the groundwork. Her own therapist will testify she was unstable. Her nonprofit is hemorrhaging money, conveniently mismanaged by yours truly. She looked like she had a breakdown and ran. And I'll be the heartbroken boyfriend who tried to save her. The recording continued, detailing a plan so intricate, so calculated, that Maya felt physically sick. Daniel stopped the playback. The silence that followed was crushing. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear. Maya couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. 18 months of her life had been a performance. Every kiss, every promise, every moment she'd thought was real had been a carefully executed con. Why? The word came out broken. Why show me this? What do you get out of it? Daniel's expression hardened. 5 years ago, I was engaged. Her name was Sarah. She was smart, funny, made me believe in something beyond the violence I'd grown up with. He paused, his jaw working. Turned out she was working for a man I'd testified against. A crime boss I helped put away. She got close to me to find out where the prosecutors had hidden their star witness. My testimony sent 12 men to prison. Sarah's betrayal got 6 of those witnesses killed. God, Daniel, I survived. But I learned something. Predators recognize each other. And I've been watching Ethan Cross for 6 months, ever since he started coming here. I knew he was hunting someone. I just didn't know it was you until tonight. Maya looked back at the frozen image of Ethan and Veronica, their heads close together, conspiring over her destruction. What do I do? That depends. What do you want? I want him to pay. I want him to feel what he made me feel. I want him destroyed. Daniel's smile was dangerous. Then I have a proposition. But it's going to require you to trust me. and it's going to require you to become someone you might not recognize. I'm listening." He pulled out a file folder, slid it across the console. Inside were documents, photographs, detailed plans. "Ethan thinks you're gone. Let's use that. Let's make him think he's won. And then we'll take everything from him." Maya opened the folder. What she saw there was brilliant, vicious. Would require her to sacrifice the last piece of herself she'd been trying to protect. Her humanity. "This is illegal," she whispered. "Some of this is borderline fraud. All of it is deserved." Maya looked at Daniel, really looked at him. She saw the scars on his knuckles, the old knife wound on his neck that his collar didn't quite hide. The way he held himself like a man always ready to fight or flee. He was damaged, maybe broken, definitely dangerous. And right now, he was the only person in the world on her side. "Why help me?" she asked. "Really? What's in this for you?" Daniel leaned back, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because watching predators destroy innocent people is how I got Sarah killed. Because I've spent 5 years hating myself for not seeing the signs. Because maybe if I save you, I can live with what I couldn't save back then." The honesty in his voice cut through Maya's shock. This wasn't about money or revenge for him. This was about redemption. "Okay," Maya said. "Tell me the plan. First, you keep being Riley James. Keep serving coffee. Keep being invisible. Meanwhile, I feed Ethan false leads about your location. Keep him distracted, and then we introduce him to someone new. Someone damaged, vulnerable, and worth even more than you." Maya's eyes widened. "You want me to create a new identity? Someone he'll target next. Someone he'll think is an even easier mark than you were. Someone who will lead him into a trap so perfect, he won't see it coming until it's too late." Daniel leaned forward. "But here's the catch. To make this work, you'll have to watch him pursue this new woman. Court her. Use all the same lines he used on you. Can you handle that?" Maya thought about 18 months of lies. About the photo of her sleeping with that cruel caption. About the plan to have her declared incompetent and steal everything her father had built. She said, "I can handle it. Good, because the woman he's going to fall for?" Daniel pulled out a photograph. "She doesn't exist yet. We're going to create her together. And when he takes the bait, we'll have everything we need to destroy him legally, financially, and personally." The photograph showed a beautiful woman with long dark hair and sad eyes. Maya looked closer and realized with a jolt that it was her. Photoshopped, aged slightly, styled differently, but unmistakably her. "You want me to be my own bait? I want you to show him what happens when the prey becomes the predator." Outside the security office, the club throbbed with music and laughter. Somewhere up there, Ethan was probably charming Veronica Ashford. Already moving on to his next mark, Maya looked at Daniel at the plans spread across the console, at the photograph of who she would have to become, and she made a choice that would either save her or damn them both. "When do we start?" Daniel's smile was sharp as broken glass. "Tomorrow. But Maya, once we start this, there's no going back. You need to be absolutely sure." Maya thought about her father, who had taught her that the world rewarded strength and punished weakness. She thought about her mother, who had died believing in love and trust. She thought about the girl she'd been 3 days ago, naive enough to think a simple test could reveal the truth. That girl was gone. In her place stood someone harder, colder, capable of things she'd never imagined, I'm sure Maya said. And somewhere in the darkness of her own heart, she felt something shift. Something that whispered this revenge would cost her more than she could possibly imagine. But she was too angry to care. 3 weeks later, Maya Chen stood in a hotel room that cost more per night than Riley James made in a month, stared at her reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back was a stranger, Sophia Winters. Trust fund baby. Recently heartbroken, reckless with money, and desperate for affection. The perfect mark, Daniel had crafted the identity with surgical precision. Social media accounts going back years. A fake family history. Even a therapist's records documenting her supposed struggle with codependency and impulsive financial decisions. Every detail designed to make Ethan see dollar signs and opportunity. You ready? Daniel's voice came from behind her. He stood in the doorway, dressed in a server's uniform for the charity gala they were about to crash. Maya adjusted the emerald necklace at her throat. Real diamonds, rented from a collection Daniel had access to through channels he refused to explain. I don't know if I can do this. Watch him use the same lines on someone else, even if that someone else is me. You can. Because every word he says to Sophia is another nail in his coffin. We're recording everything. Audio, video, financial transactions. By the time we're done, he won't just lose his reputation. He'll lose his freedom. Maya turned to face him. Over the past 3 weeks, Daniel had become something she hadn't expected. Not just an ally, but something deeper, more complicated. They'd spent hours planning, rehearsing, building the trap. And somewhere in those late nights, she'd started noticing things. The way his rare smiles transformed his face. How gently he'd coached her through moments of doubt. The careful distance he maintained, as if afraid to get too close. What happens after? She asked. After we destroy him? What happens to us? Daniel's expression shuddered. There is no us, Maya. This is a job. When it's over, you go back to your life, and I go back to mine. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter, it matters to me. He moved closer. Close enough that she could see the conflict in his eyes. You don't know me. Not really. You know the version I've shown you? But there are things in my past, things I've done, that would make you run if you knew? Try me. After Sarah died, after those witnesses were killed because of my failure to see what she was, I didn't just mourn. I hunted. I found every person in that organization who had used her to get to me, and I made them pay. His voice dropped to something rough and dangerous. I'm not a good man, Maya. I'm just a man who's trying to be better than he was. Maya reached up, touched his face. He flinched but didn't pull away. You saved me. You're helping me fight back when you could have just reported my location and collected your fee. That makes you better than most, or it makes me a fool who's going to get us both killed if we're not careful. Killed. You said this was just about destroying his reputation? Daniel's jaw clenched. There's something I didn't tell you. Ethan Cross isn't just a con artist. He's connected to some very dangerous people. The Ashford family, Veronica's family, they're not just pharmaceutical heirs. They're money launderers for the Volkov organization. The room tilted. The Volkov organization was international crime syndicate. Human trafficking, weapons, drugs, everything horrific the world had to offer. Why didn't you tell me? Because if I had, you would have run. And you deserve justice. Justice. Daniel, if these people find out what we're doing, they won't. And not if we're smart. Not if we stick to the plan. He gripped her shoulders. I've spent 5 years studying these people. I know how they think, how they operate. We get the evidence. We feed it to the right authorities, people I trust, and we disappear before anyone knows what hit them. And if something goes wrong, then I'll make sure you get out safely. That's my only job here. Keep you alive and get you justice. Maya saw it then, the truth he'd been hiding. He was prepared to sacrifice himself if it meant protecting her. This wasn't just about redemption for failing Sarah. This was about Daniel punishing himself. Throwing himself into danger because he didn't think he deserved to survive. Listen to me, Maya said fiercely. We both get out. Both of us. I didn't come this far to watch you become a martyr for my revenge. Maya, promise me. Right now. Promise me you'll fight to survive, not just to protect me. Daniel stared at her, and for a moment, she saw something crack in his carefully maintained armor. I promise, he said finally. But you need to promise me something too. If this goes sideways, if things get dangerous, you run. You don't look back. You don't try to save me. You just run. I can't promise that. Then we don't do this. Maya wanted to argue. But she saw the fear in his eyes, real and raw, and understood. He couldn't survive losing someone else to his own hubris. Fine, I promise. It was a lie. They both knew it. But sometimes lies are the only way to move forward. 2 hours later, Mariah walked into the charity gala as Sophia Winters, and felt every eye in the room turn toward her. Daniel had been right. In this dress, with this persona, she was magnetic. Wounded bird with unlimited resources. Catnip for predators. She made it exactly 15 minutes before Ethan found her. He looked good. Of course he did. Perfectly tailored suit, practiced smile, eyes that radiated charm and warmth and lies. "I don't believe we've met," he said, approaching with champagne flutes in hand. "Ethan Cross. And you are?" "Sophia Winters." Maya took the champagne, let her hand tremble slightly. "Thank you. I'm terrible at these things. Everyone seems to know each other, and I'm just standing here feeling completely out of place." "You could never be out of place. You're the most beautiful woman in the room." The line. The exact same line he'd used on Maya at their first meeting. She forced herself to blush, to giggle, to play the part. "You're sweet, but I should warn you, I'm a mess right now. You just got out of a terrible relationship. I'm probably the worst person to talk to at a party, and we're perfect for each other. I'm recovering from a broken heart myself." Maya looked up at him through carefully masquerade lashes. "Really? What happened?" And he told her. Told Sophia the same story he'd told the media. About Maya Chen, the troubled heiress who'd disappeared. How much he'd loved her. How devastated he was. Every word perfectly calibrated to make him look like the victim. Maya felt bile rise in her throat, but kept smiling. Kept playing the role. "That's awful," she murmured. "She must have been crazy to leave someone like you. I just hope she's safe. That's all that matters." Liar, liar, liar. They talked for an hour. Ethan was a master at his craft. She'd give him that. He mirrored her body language, asked thoughtful questions, made her feel like the only person in the world who mattered. She recognized every technique because he'd used them on her, and it worked. God help her, even knowing what she knew. Part of her responded to the attention, to the feeling of being seen and wanted. That was the most terrifying part. Understanding how easy it had been for her to fall into his trap the first time. "Can I see you again?" Ethan asked as the gala wound down. "Maybe dinner tomorrow? Somewhere quiet where we can actually talk." "I'd like that." Took her hand, kissed it gently. "I'm really glad I met you tonight, Sophia. You might have just saved my life." Maya watched him walk away and felt Daniel's presence behind her. He'd been watching from the server station all night, recording everything through hidden cameras. "You okay?" Daniel asked quietly. "No, but I will be." "Did you get everything?" Every word, every gesture. He's already researching Sophia Winters. His team is probably pulling financial records right now. Good, let them find exactly what we want them to find. They left separately. Maya returned to her hotel room alone, stripped off the designer dress. Washed away the makeup. In the mirror, she looked for Riley James or Maya Chen or Sophia Winters. But all she saw was someone she didn't recognize. Someone capable of deception and manipulation. Someone becoming the very thing she was trying to destroy. Her phone buzzed. A text from a blocked number. "You're playing a dangerous game, Ms. Chen. Walk away now, or everyone you care about will pay the price." Maya's blood turned to ice. She called Daniel immediately. "I know," she said, when he answered. "Someone knows who I am. Where are you?" "The Plaza, room 2847. Stay there. Lock the door. I'm 10 minutes out." Maya hung up and moved to the window. The city glittered below, millions of people living their normal lives. Unaware of the darkness moving beneath the surface, a knock at the door made her jump. Room service. Not ordered room service. Maya moved toward the door slowly, looked through the peephole. A man in a uniform stood there, but his eyes were wrong. Cold, professional, dangerous. "I didn't order anything," Maya called through the door. "Compliments of Mr. Cross?" Her blood froze. The man pulled out a key card, the kind only hotel management should have. Maya ran for her phone, but the door was already opening. The man stepped inside and he wasn't alone. 2 others filed in behind him, blocking her exits. "Ms. Chen," the first man said. "Mr. Cross would like a word." "Please don't make this difficult." Maya backed toward the window, her mind racing. Daniel was minutes away. If she could just stall, the man pulled out a gun. Now, please. She had seconds to decide. Go with them, or jump from a 20th floor window. Then the lights went out in the darkness. Someone moved with lethal precision. Bodies hit the floor. Glass shattered. Maya heard Daniel's voice, rough and urgent. Maya, down! She dropped as gunfire erupted. The muzzle flash illuminated Daniel's face, transformed by violence into something primal and terrifying. He moved like a soldier, like someone who'd lived in darkness so long it had become home. When the lights came back on, all three men were on the floor, unconscious or worse. Daniel stood among them, breathing hard, a stolen gun in his hand. We need to go now. Maya stumbled toward him, her ears ringing. How did you questions later? Moving now. He grabbed her hand and pulled her into the hallway. Alarms were blaring. People were shouting. They ran for the service stairs, taking them 2 at a time, 4 floors down. Daniel pushed through a maintenance door into a storage room. He pulled out a burner phone, made a call. It's me. They know. Yes, all of it. We need extraction. He listened, his face grim. Understood. He hung up and turned to Maya. I'm sorry. I thought we had more time. Thought I'd covered our tracks better. Who were those men? Volkov's cleaners? Ethan must have told them about Sophia. They ran facial recognition. Must have. He ran a hand through his hair. I should have seen this coming. Should have been more careful. Daniel, this isn't your fault. Yes, it is. And now we have a choice. We can run, disappear, and Ethan wins. Or we can finish this tonight. Take the evidence we have, deliver it to the people who can actually do something with it, and pray we survive long enough to see him arrested. Maya looked at this man who'd risked everything to help her, who'd just saved her life, who was still prepared to sacrifice himself for justice. And she realized something that changed everything. She loved him. Not the infatuation she'd felt for Ethan, but something real. Forged in darkness and desperation and truth. She loved Daniel Rivera, damaged and dangerous and devastatingly good beneath all his scars. We finish it, Maya said. Together. But after, you don't get to disappear on me. You don't get to play the lone wolf who walks into the sunset. We survive this, and we figure out what happens next. Both of us. Daniel's eyes searched hers. You don't want that. You don't want me? I want the truth. And you're the only person who's ever given me that. He pulled her close, pressed his forehead against hers. If we do this, if we survive, I need you to know something. I didn't help you just for redemption. Somewhere along the way, this stopped being about Sarah. It became about you. And that terrifies me more than any gun. Maya kissed him. Hard, desperate, real. He kissed her back with the same intensity, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just them. 2 broken people clinging to each other in the darkness. Then his phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression hardened. Our ride's here. And I just got word Ethan's at his apartment. Alone. If we're going to do this, it has to be now. Then let's end this. They left the hotel through the loading dock, climbed into a nondescript van driven by someone Daniel knew but didn't introduce. The city passed in a blur of lights and shadows. Maya held Daniel's hand and prepared for war. What neither of them knew was that Ethan had already set his own trap, and the person who would betray them was the last one either of them would expect. Ethan's apartment. Building loomed above them, all steel and glass and privilege. Maya sat in the van watching the entrance while Daniel checked the equipment one final time. Cameras, recording devices, weapons, everything they needed to either save themselves or die trying. The FBI contact will be here in 30 minutes, Daniel said. We get inside, get Ethan on record confessing, and get out before Volkov's people realize where we are. And if Ethan doesn't confess, then we use what we already have and hope it's enough. The driver, a grizzled man Daniel called Reeves, turned around. You're sure about this, Rivera? Once you walk in there, I can't help you. I've got my own people to protect, I know. Just be ready to get Maya out if things go south. Daniel, no. Maya grabbed his arm. We go in together. We leave together. Maya. Together. He looked at her, and something in his expression broke her heart. It was the look of a man who'd already said goodbye. Together, he agreed. They exited the van and approached the building. Daniel had a key card, another mysterious connection he wouldn't explain. The elevator ride to Ethan's penthouse felt endless. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. The doors opened directly into Ethan's apartment. Soft lighting, expensive furniture, art that costs more than most houses. And there, standing by the window with a glass of whiskey, was Ethan Cross. He didn't look surprised to see them. "Hello, Maya," he said calmly. "I've been expecting you." Maya's stomach dropped. "How did you really think I wouldn't notice someone investigating me? That I wouldn't have people watching?" He turned, and his smile was nothing like the charm he'd worn before. This smile was cold, calculating, victorious. "I've known about Daniel Rivera for weeks. Former FBI informant, disgraced after his fiancée's betrayal, now working private security. It wasn't hard to figure out what you two were planning." Daniel's hand moved toward his weapon, but froze when 6 men emerged from the shadows, all armed, all trained on them. "I wouldn't," Ethan said. "I've gone to a lot of trouble to set this up perfectly. Maya Chen, tragically killed by her unstable boyfriend Daniel Rivera, who then took his own life. A murder-suicide. The media will eat it up. And all your evidence? It'll disappear along with you." Maya's mind raced. "You won't get away with this. We've already sent copies of everything to the FBI. No, you haven't. You were planning to. But you needed one more piece. My confession on tape. That's why you came here." Ethan walked closer. "You always were predictable, Maya. That's what made you such an easy mark. Then why bother with this?" Daniel's voice was steady, but Maya could feel the tension radiating from him. "If we're so predictable, why the elaborate setup? Because I'm thorough. And because I want Maya to understand exactly how completely she was played." Ethan looked at Maya. "Do you know why I really chose you? It wasn't just the money. There are dozens of rich, naive women in this city. But you had something special. You were lonely, desperate to prove you could be loved for yourself and not your money. You practically begged to be conned." The words hit like physical blows. Maya wanted to fight back, to prove him wrong, but part of her wondered if he was right. "That's enough," Daniel said. "You've made your point. Let her go. This is between you and me." Ethan laughed. "Noble to the end. Tell me, Rivera, did you really think you could save her? After what happened to Sarah? You're cursed. Everyone you try to protect ends up dead." Daniel's composure cracked. "Sarah was used because of me. I won't let that happen to Maya. It's too late. She was used the moment she walked into my life. And now she'll die because she thought she could outsmart me." Ethan nodded to his men. "Take them to the roof. Make it look like they jumped." The men moved forward, but before they could reach them, the lights went out again. But this time, it wasn't Daniel's doing. Gunfire erupted from the windows. Glass shattered. The men around Ethan dropped, taken out by sniper fire from the building across the street. FBI. Everyone on the ground. The room flooded with federal agents, moving with military precision. Someone tackled Ethan to the floor. Someone else grabbed Maya and Daniel, pulling them to safety. Maya's ears rang. Nothing made sense. The FBI wasn't supposed to be here for 30 minutes. Then she saw her. A woman in FBI tactical gear, removing her helmet to reveal graying hair and sharp eyes. She looked at Maya with an expression that was both professional and somehow personal. "Miss Chen. Mr. Rivera, you're safe now." "Agent Morrison?" "Good to see you again, Daniel, though I wish it were under better circumstances. I'm Agent Sarah Morrison. I've been investigating Ethan Cross and his connection to the Volkov organization for 2 years. When Daniel reached out last week, I knew we finally had our chance to bring them all down." Maya looked at Daniel. "Last week? But you said I lied," Daniel said quietly, "about a lot of things." I've been working with Agent Morrison since the beginning. Since before I met you in the cafe. The world tilted. What are you saying? Agent Morrison stepped forward. Daniel contacted us 4 weeks ago. He'd been investigating Ethan independently and discovered the connection to Volkov. We brought him in, asked him to help us build a case. When you disappeared, it provided the perfect opportunity. So this was all a setup. You used me as bait? We protected you, Daniel said. Every step of the way. The men at the hotel, I knew they were coming. The van, that was FBI. Everything was controlled. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. The footage. The recordings. Your story about Sarah was real. My failure was real. But Sarah Morrison isn't dead. She's standing right in front of you. Daniel's voice broke. She's my sister. She was never my fiancée. I lied about that to make you trust me, to make you think I understood what you were going through. Sarah Morrison, Daniel's sister, stepped forward. I was an undercover agent who got made by the Volkov organization. They tried to kill me. Daniel saved my life but lost everything in the process. His career, his reputation, his stability. He's been trying to make up for it ever since. Maya looked at Daniel, this man she thought she knew, thought she loved. So everything was a lie? Everything you told me? Everything we shared? Not everything, Daniel said desperately. My feelings for you, those were real, are real. But I needed you to trust me completely, and the only way to do that was to make you think we were the same. Both victims. Both seeking revenge. You manipulated me. Just like Ethan did. No, Maya listened, but Maya couldn't listen. Couldn't process. She'd escaped one liar only to fall for another. Even her revenge had been orchestrated by someone else. Agent Morrison touched her arm gently. Miss Chen, I understand this is a lot to process. But thanks to your cooperation, willing or not, you have enough evidence to bring down not just Ethan Cross, but the entire Volkov money laundering operation. You've helped save lives. I didn't want to save lives. I wanted justice for myself. And you have it. Ethan Cross is going to prison for the rest of his life. So is Veronica Ashford and 24 other people who've been using vulnerable, wealthy targets for years.
Ow.
Maya watched as agents led Ethan away in handcuffs. He looked smaller now, diminished, no longer the charming predator, but just a man facing consequences. She waited to feel satisfaction, triumph, anything. But all she felt was empty. Please, Daniel moved toward her, but she stepped back. Don't come near me. I know I lied. But everything else, everything we built together, we built nothing. You manipulated me into thinking we had something real. You're no different than Ethan. The words hit Daniel like bullets. She saw him flinch, saw the pain in his eyes, and part of her wanted to take it back. But the larger part, the part that had been used and betrayed too many times, couldn't forgive. Maya, Sarah Morrison said gently. My brother made mistakes in how he handled this. But he did keep you safe. He did care about you. More than he's cared about anyone since this all began. Then he has a funny way of showing it. Maya turned and walked toward the exit. Agents moved aside to let her pass. Behind her, she heard Daniel call her name one more time. But she didn't turn around. The elevator doors closed, and Maya Chen descended back to Earth. Back to a life that would never be the same. 6 months later, Maya sat in a coffee shop. Not the cafe where she'd worked as Riley James, but a small independent place in a neighborhood where nobody knew her name. She'd sold most of her father's company, kept only what she needed to fund her nonprofit. The rest she'd donated to victims of financial crimes. She'd testified against Ethan at his trial, watched him get sentenced to 20 years. Veronica Ashford got 15. The Volkov organization was dismantled. Dozens arrested, countless victims freed. Justice had been served. But Maya still felt like she was grieving. The door opened, and Daniel walked in. She'd known he would find her eventually. She'd almost been counting on it. He looked different. Thinner, tired, older. He sat down across from her without asking permission. I'm sorry, he said. For lying. For manipulating you. For making you think you could trust me when I was using you the whole time. Is that why you came? To apologize? I came because I can't stop thinking about you, about us, about what we could have been if I hadn't ruined it. I studied him. 6 months of therapy had given her clarity she'd lacked before. You know what the worst part is? I understand why you did it. You were trying to save your sister, trying to bring down bad people. Your intentions were good, but the execution was terrible. Execution was exactly like something Ethan would do. You saw a vulnerable person, and you used them. Daniel nodded slowly. You're right. And I've spent 6 months hating myself for it. Sarah says I need to forgive myself, that I did what I had to do. But I can't. Not when I see your face and remember the moment you looked at me like I was the monster. You're not a monster, Daniel. You're just human. Flawed, damaged, trying your best. Does that mean you forgive me? Maya picked up her coffee, took a sip, considered. It means I understand you. Forgiveness? That's going to take time. Maybe a lot of time. Maybe forever. I can wait. Can you? Can you really wait for someone who might never be able to trust you again? Daniel leaned forward. Maya, I know I don't deserve a second chance. I know I broke something between us that might be irreparable. But if there's even a possibility, even the smallest chance that someday you might see me as something other than the man who betrayed you, I'll wait. I'll wait until the sun burns out. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. You really mean that? I've never meant anything more in my life. I love you. Not Sophia Winters. Not Riley James. You, Maya Chen. The woman who was brave enough to walk away from everything to find the truth. The woman who survived 2 men trying to destroy her and came out stronger. I love you, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. The coffee shop was quiet around them. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of the drama playing out at the corner table. I loved you too, Maya said softly. In that hotel room when we kissed, I loved you. That was real for me. Maya stood, picked up her bag. I don't know yet. Ask me again in a year. If you're still willing to wait, if you're still willing to prove that you can be the man you promised to be, then maybe we'll have something to talk about. She walked to the door, paused, looked back. Daniel sat alone at the table, looking like a man who'd just been given both a death sentence and a reprieve. Daniel. He looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Thank you. For keeping me safe. For helping me get justice. For being honest, even when the honesty came too late. Does that mean there's a chance? Maya smiled, small and sad and genuine. It means there's a possibility. And sometimes, that's enough. She walked out into the sunlight. The city stretched before her, full of possibility and danger and hope. She'd been broken by 2 men who'd lied to her, used her, tried to destroy her, but she'd survived. And in surviving, she'd discovered something more valuable than revenge or justice or love. She'd discovered herself. Maya Chen walked into her future. Scarred but stronger, wounded but wiser, alone but not lonely. And if someday Daniel Rivera proved he could be the man he claimed to be, if someday she could look at him and see partner instead of predator, ally instead of manipulator, well, that was a bridge she'd cross when she came to it. Behind her, Daniel sat in the coffee shop and began the long, hard work of becoming worthy. Some stories end with happily ever after. Some end with tragedy. This one ended with possibility, and sometimes that's the bravest ending of all. The end.